administration. But when we started 16 years, well, when I started when I was 15, there was no education in construction. It was like you leave school with no education, no GCSEs, you get in a van, you go to work. There was no respect. You go out there and you get Alzheimer's, vibrations, you get illnesses, but they didn't look after you then. Nowadays, if you're coming into the construction industry now, there's so much there now with MVQ. There's GCSEs that you're in. I was on a course today, and it's a brilliant course. It's maps and professionals. It's educating you guys. It's looking after you guys when you're on site. So when I started when I was 15, I was using jackhammers for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I ended up getting carpal tunnel and white finger. That disabled my hands. So I went through that for 16 years. Then as the industry got better, it started getting better with the health and safety. Health and safety started kicking in. So nowadays, if you're doing construction, health and safety looks after you. So if you're coming into the game now, you can't be better, more looked after. You come to us. We'll do your first thing you do is your MVQ CSCS card, and then you start a development program, and then we put you on a training course, and then you go down that line. So if you wanted to be an engineer or just a normal civils labourer or skilled up, the courses are there for you. When I was younger, there was none of that. There was no cards, you didn't have a high vis like your man there. It was just get on site, get out of the van, start working. There was no health, HR. If you didn't do your job, you didn't get picked up in the morning, and that's how it was. But nowadays, our construction, the lads that we have working for us now are well looked after, well educated, and the rates of pay now are phenomenal really, compared to what they used to be. But don't tell that the commercial manager. You want to say something?
Yeah, I can do. I mean, very much like Simon. I started when I was 18. I'm 58 now. Enjoy him. But yeah, I've been in it for 40 years. But like Simon said, yeah, we didn't have health and safety. There was a lot of dangers. Very much like what Simon had. Like I got white finger, carpal tunnel, because again we was just excavating, digging all the time. It was very hard work. But now, from the division like I look after, it's a case of we all work together, and health and safety is paramount. Everyone gets looked after. But to get into the industry, if you want to get into it, you can. It's about knowing what you really want to do. And as long as you've got that drive on what you want to do and achieve going forward, you can. I started when I was in London, and I started with Thames Water, and I stayed with them for 23 years. And again, I worked my way up through the ranks to where I am now. But I started as one of those guys digging holes on the road, just like Simon. We've both come from the same part of the industry from many years ago. So you can achieve, as long as you know what you want and where you've got to go. As long as you're hungry for it, you will achieve it.
So just on that, so would you say that you started as a labourer?
Yeah, I started as one of those, poor little lads. There's a van, you'll get picked up in the morning and you're going to dig a hole for 10, 12 hours a day. And I was in central London. So it was very, very hard work, and it was very cold. And poor man there in the high vis probably knows what it's like these days. But he has it easy these days. You're going to get picked on that because you're in front. But yeah, we started it many years ago. But yeah, literally, the reason why we've done so well is because we did start at the ground level. So we understand youngsters wanting to come into it now, and the thing is, we need people like yourselves coming into the industry, because there ain't enough coming into it, and we need to pass our knowledge on to youngsters like yourselves that want to come into this industry.
The future is bright in construction. It's getting better.
Yeah. It's getting better.
At the minute it's quiet with everything that's going on, but it is getting better. Yeah. Like you say, with the health and safety and the training you get nowadays, it's brilliant. If you come from, you're not very educated. If you're not very educated, they help you out, and that's what we do. We make sure that there's a program there for you, so we can get you through that. There's a lot of people that work for us that's come from school with no GCSEs, but they've got more tickets now than people that have been at university. I say it because they work hard at it,
Yeah, I think I'm probably the opposite to these guys. So whereas they started when sort of they left school, I only got into the industry maybe 9 years ago. So I turned 30, I got made redundant from my previous job. It was just a normal admin job. and at that time I was just got fixed to get married, so like the brothers in here that are maybe fixed or looking to get married know the pressures of securing a decent job, and yeah, so I was in a situation where just got fixed, got made redundant from my previous job, and then I landed in a temporary job in the construction industry as an administrator about 9 years ago. So yeah, from there it kind of moved on. So I put all my effort and energy into sort of succeeding in that job. Did well at that, progressed to sort of a team leader role, still in the office, and then an opportunity came available to me to sort of become an assistant quantity surveyor, and that was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. So I took that opportunity. So freshly married, I was travelling sort of 90 miles each way, so from Preston to Wales, getting down to site, learning on the job. Yeah, did that for about 2 years, and eventually secured a position as a quantity surveyor. Worked for that company for about 1.5 years, and then COVID came. And on the first day of COVID was my first day of COVID lockdown. Was my first day at Wright Water, which was almost 5 years ago now, as a senior quantity surveyor, and then progressed from there towards managing quantity surveyor and a commercial manager now, within the space of 6 or 7 years. No sort of formal qualifications. For me, I think it was obviously the hard work, the motivation from avoiding any headache from the wife, and yeah, in between all of this, me and my wife went to do our Hajj in 2018. So coming back from Hajj, we had obviously a lot of blessings, and I think that was probably the turning point when I kind of went from an assistant quantity surveyor to a full quantity surveyor. Again, without any sort of learning, any sort of training or education towards it. It just happened. Yeah, and that's what it is. Like I said, my advice to all of the youngsters here, I was 30 and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. But as long as everyone's quite fortunate. The youngsters are very fortunate here, because I didn't have any of this when I was growing up. It looks like there's quite a strong community spirit here, a lot of guidance from the elders of the community, and a lot of exposure to what you can achieve. It looks like that's being instilled in the youngsters here, and it's very important, and I applaud all the elders for what you're doing here, because it definitely will make a difference. And the advice to the youngsters is just listen to the elders, believe in yourself, work hard, forget about all of these shortcuts that you see on TikTok or whatever it is. If you work hard, stay focused, you'll get there, and be punctual in the salah.
Okay, thank you very much for that advice. That's great. So we have Martin. Yes. So.
All I was going to expand on that is I'm fairly similar to Fez, as in I basically just fell into the job. I did the whole university thing. And like Fez says, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do when I was at school, going through college, going through university. And I just walked into a job just doing scheduling and built up from there. One thing I was going to say is that basically no 2 days are the same, no matter what any of us do. Simon doesn't, for example, go to the same site every day and do the same thing again. That's what he's done. That was the day before. Every day is different. And I think like these guys have said, me and Fez are obviously the same as well. We've started at the bottom and worked our way up. The opportunities are there. It doesn't always have to be, if you're not academically minded, fine. You can still come in and achieve like what Fez has achieved, without the academic qualifications. I did the whole degree thing, but again, it makes no difference. The degree wasn't for what I do now. And I, again, came out of university and still started at the bottom and worked my way up. So,
thank you very much for that. I guess I would like to ask Simon, actually. as the... Oh yes,
Don't get very confused with him.
One second, just hold on, yours. Is there any questions from the people here? We'll do one with him. Is there any questions here? So we've got quantity, so okay, go.
Yeah, hi guys. Thank you for coming here today and giving this talk to our community. My question is pretty simple. What's your most memorable project you guys worked on? Or significant or favourite?
I think the biggest thing for us from the construction side is when you go to a site on a cemetery and water site, obviously it's all treatment works. When you're developing, it's not a nice site, if you can imagine. Obviously it's not very good, and we do a lot of digging with some very big machines, and that's where Simon comes into it, making sure we're set up construction on the right phase of what we're doing. When you actually see the construction being done and you see the finished article, we get a lot of praise, we get a lot of good feeling still, because when you see it go from nothing to see it finally being built and then it's getting developed and it's being used out in the community, which means when the treatment works are up and running, the new treatments, the area itself runs a lot better. So from us, well, when we see it starting from absolutely a blank sheet, and also you see a construction plant being put up, yeah, you get a real good feeling for that. And I still get that after 40 years, and like some of those where we still see it every day, and we see it from nothing. So I couldn't pick one out, but I could pick out and say that everything we still do now, yeah, it is great for us.
I've done that as well.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah.
That's what makes it brilliant. When you start something from a field, and then 2 years later you've built a complete works, you hold that in your heart because you've built it. You've worked on that, and we're the same. We drive past places, we've done that, and then you go see him and digger, and you look in the machine, and you go, "Oh, what that is," and your missus like, "Just sad you are." But yeah, you can't hold one job. Once you've done one, you just want more and more and more. But you're proud of everything you've done, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I wouldn't say it's my favourite, but I think it's the ones that go wrong are the most memorable. And especially working in the water industry, and he's pulling faces already. I mean, like I say, I work in the northwest as well as Yorkshire and other areas, and I've seen some water mains burst. And when they go, especially the large ones. You can have plumes of water going 30, 40 feet in the air. It looks like, you know, a very nice fountain, but it's obviously not particularly positive. I've seen local areas in Liverpool, for example, flood. They're memorable not because of what went wrong, but because of how you fixed it and then how you've actually got to the end of it and achieved something. So that's what I remember is the achievement after the things that have gone wrong. So you remember the big things that have gone wrong, they've made the news, but you've got to stick around and make sure that that gets fixed. So that's what I always remember.
So you probably appreciate this as a QS. It was one that we worked together on, Martin, Oswald Street. So it was a target cost project, started off at 2 million. Yeah, there was around 200 compensation events, so yeah, it ended up at 10 million. So we managed to capture all of our costs and maintain the program, which was an additional 2 years to where we started off. So yeah, extra 2 years, £8 million, we got paid, everyone's happy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, no, that's really good for your insight. So going back to Simon, still have got my question for you.
Yeah, go on, Mike.
So I was going to say, as an operations manager, what skills or qualities that you believe are essential for anyone, especially a young person who is looking to get into the industry? Like, so what skills and qualities do you think that are absolutely paramount, essential?
So, when I started, the thing to have is drive and passion. If you've got drive and passion, that will set you off straight away. If you want it, you'll do it. And trust me, when it's the summer, like it is now, it's coming back. It's lovely to work in this construction industry. But when it's the winter and it's freezing cold, you sat at the back of a dumper keeping warm on an exhaust, you sometimes think, am I doing the right thing? Going forward, like if for me, when I started, it was like I wanted to build stuff. So I wanted to see development, I wanted to be on them big construction sites. I didn't want to be stuck in a factory or in an office pressing buttons. I wanted to be out there with my team of guys, building, seeing what we can do, And at the end of the day, you can start from nothing in greenfield. We go out there, do trials. We start with the foundations. We start with the concrete. We build it up. We built a £10 million project. So for the lads, young lads here now, if you want to do it, I'd really consider it, because it's a fantastic opportunity. You're outside, you're getting the fresh air, you're getting a good education. That's the thing as well, you're getting a good education, because it's not just about being in construction like we were years ago. They didn't care about you. We care about you now, and you get a good education. And we all the way through your development, so if you start at 16, there's a course every month. And by the time you know it, you could be what we're doing, project managers, you could be a operations manager, you could be a commercial manager. It depends what you want to do, but the drive is, it's in yourself. If you want it enough, you'll do it. And with construction, it does put you onto the edge, especially in the winter weathers. When you see your young lads outside working and it's snowing and it's raining and it's blowing a gale, the drive's in the heart. They want to carry on and they work hard and they get it done. So yeah, it's a good opportunity for the lads.
So on that point, so you mentioned that the key thing for you is having a passion.
Yeah.
That would be like a key driver for you in order to really have a successful career in the construction industry. Now, I worked as a labourer for a number of years on a different sites and different projects. So my lived experience in the industry is such that says that for someone like myself, I needed something more than only passion.
Yeah.
So that leads me to my next question, which is about, sort of like representation, so to say, like within the ethnic minorities within the industry. Mm-hmm. Now, we have seen, historically the industry has been kind of like, white male dominated.
Yeah.
That's the fact.
Yeah.
So have you seen, or do you see an improvement of that? Or what would be your piece of advice for a young person who is getting into the industry and is not finding kind of like role models within the industry? How do you encourage those people to get there?
From my experience, I think if you're working in the industry for an employer and you're demonstrating passion but you're not getting anywhere, that sounds like what you're saying, yeah? You're probably working for the wrong person, in the wrong company. There is companies out there which obviously aren't as forward-thinking as others, but if you are currently in the industry, you think to yourself, you know what, I'm working as hard as I can, I'm showing as much passion as I can, and you don't seem to be getting any opportunities, you probably need to be looking at moving somewhere else. Because if you just go on LinkedIn now, there's many senior positions held by people of an ethnic minority. It might have been different maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago, but if you look out there now, I mean within my organisation, within my previous organisation, there's plenty of ethnic minorities in senior positions. Like I said, I think if you are currently in a place, you probably need to consider moving to somewhere else that probably you can see where there is more senior people of ethnic minorities. It probably was different back in your days, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. There was a lot of Irish in our days, a lot of paddies, yeah. So what our teams used to be, myself and one and about 7 paddies. So yeah, it was there were a lot of Irish lads in our gang, and they used to come over in the suits, and they used to be digging in shirt and tie, and that's how it was then. And then they used to go to the pub, 3 pints, and come back and work. Unfortunately, we can't do that anymore, but that's how it used to be then. But now, like I say, the training's there for you guys, and like I say, what Fez just said, if you felt like that, you're working for the wrong company. You need a company that puts their arms around you and wants to educate you and wants to look after you. Eric Wright of one of these companies, we make sure we look after you. Your training's there, we look after you as a team, and we look after your health, and we look after your safety.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. My name's Kashan, so I'm a 7 Trent delivery business lead. So Muslim, Pakistani, 39, I manage 1.3 billion. So the opportunities are there, yeah? So the opportunities are there, and inshallah with your du'as, I'll be looking for a promotion in a year. So, and that's one below COO. So this is a FTSE 50 water company. In the FTSE 50, you work hard, and Simon is it. If you got pride and passion, you can make it. As simple as that. you can have a degree. I've got degrees, I've got 2 degrees. I didn't use them till I was 4 or 5 years ago, right? I've been working 15 years before that. But if you've got that level of effort, the pride and the passion to be successful, everything is possible, especially in the water industry. Look, I come from a construction industry, Birmingham New Street. I was part of the Birmingham New Street team with Mace. Supported Leadenhall, cheese grater in London, right, in senior position, Hinkley Point C. So I've come from a completely different background from all the water guys. It's the same there. I've got 100 odd people working for me at the minute. I'd say 25 of them are Muslim. Yeah, I'd say 15 of them are Indian, brown, black, Christian, different communities. So 40% of my team are ethnic minority and all in senior positions, right? And then I think from a gender perspective, 35% of my team are women. But they all, I look for the same thing. They've all got different characteristics, different traits, but I look for, will they put effort in? Are they going to try? They've got them 2 things. I can't buy that. Money does not buy that. Degrees don't buy it. You've got that too. You can do anything. And I think gone are the days where companies cannot be racist. I'll just speak very open with you. And neither can they. You might have to work a little bit harder to get there, but gone are the days where companies can do that to you. It's down to you. The environment doesn't allow it. There's Eric Wright Water. There's about 8, 9 different organisations at Eric Wright Water. But it's because our communities ain't pushing out in the water industry. When you go to uni, our Pakistani culture, they want you to be a doctor, they want you to be a surgeon, they want you to be a dentist. None of them say we want our son to be a construction person. They just don't. So it's in that. If you push for it, the opportunities are there. And all the way from the bottom, all the way to the top. And James GICC, who's our COO, he started as an apprentice. 20 years in Severn Trent, and he's our COO. So again, he didn't start from and he was from Wolverhampton. He wasn't from a well-off background. He definitely wasn't posh. He was like us guys, and he's built his way up. So the opportunities are there all the way across the water industry, with the client side and contractor side. It's down to you guys to perform.
Thank you very much for that. I think that's well understood. So it's just about time before we break our fast. But I have one last question. I'm not letting you guys go. so the last question is like, looking back at your career, some of you have been in the industry for decades. So looking back at your career so far, what's one piece of advice you wish you had received when you were starting out? So when you looking back at your career so far, what you have experienced, what you have learned, the mistakes that you've made, the friends that you've made in life. So what one piece of advice that you wish you had received when you were starting out?
I think, for when I started back, as you said, decades ago, I wish it was health and safety. Because when I started with Simon, there wasn't health and safety to look after us. We got injuries and we didn't have high-vis coats, and people didn't say, look, no, stop, it's not safe. That's the biggest thing for me. I struggle now with my hands in the winter, and that's all because of the years that we were told that main needs repairing and this needs doing, we're building dig holes. And that's the biggest thing for me, like now, which we've already touched on, the health and safety around what we do, especially now what me and Simon drive, because we're out there looking after this guys. The health and safety we drive all the time. Health and safety comes first. Years ago when we started, health and safety wasn't there. It wasn't driven into us. That's the biggest thing I could look at and say, I wish we'd have had health and safety to look after our health. It's there now, everyone gets looked after. As said, it's there if you want it. As long as you've got the drive, you can achieve anything you want. And it's the passion. We've had it. I'm still in it 40 years ago, and I started thinking it was a part-time job. 40 years later, I'm still doing it. So that's the biggest thing for me is I wish we'd got different drive back then under health and safety.
The question is, what's one piece of advice?
He didn't answer your question, did he? Just tell him, Sibi, he didn't answer my question, mate. He tried. Look, for me, it's all about your effort. Any advice I'll give, one, talk to different people, network. Network is massive. If you don't network, it's very difficult. You've got to network, and that means you go into events and you might sit there, you might be bored for 1.5 hours, but that 5 minutes you might meet that person in the cigarette shelter or in the toilet or having some food. Network. Explain who you are. The amount of people I've networked, and smoking is not good by the way, but in the smoking shelter, I've stopped now, but the amount of people I met in the smoking shelter is unbelievable in a networking event. They're the same people. I didn't know Sippy. This happened because of networking. He knew my boss, which clearly knows me, and through that, within 30 seconds, within a day, this was arranged. Through network. If there wasn't a network, it wouldn't happen. So network, and again, it's about you. It's about your attitude and about you. If you're going to be a defeatist, then unfortunately, you're not going to get opportunities. If you're ambitious, you might get knocked back 20 times. You go 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, until somebody listens. You've just got to keep going. And that's my advice for anybody. And you have belief. As Muslims, rizq is written. We know this, but we've got to show belief in that. You see, I believe. I'm a practicing Muslim. Rizq is, I never look to my boss and say, hey, you're going to give me this. I said, don't worry, you don't give it me, he gives it me. Yeah, my work is because of him as well. And you've got that belief, as Muslims as well, but it's effort. Rizq is guaranteed, but if you sit on here, on the floor, then you're not going to get it, are you? It's simple. That's my advice.
Your answer is clear.
So now, so inshallah, what we're going to do, as the Maghrib time comes in now, so we're going to break the fast, and then we pray. After we pray, our friends are not going anywhere. They stay right here. These guys eat. They are here. So after we pray, then some of them we're gonna move to the other side, and we're gonna have the meal. And after the meal or during the meal, then our guys are here, and you guys can engage them on a one-to-one session, on a kind of like a conversation, and you can ask them whatever question you have, and they can kindly answer the question. Okay, so inshallah, if you guys can, I think they're going to take the study Azan, and then they can have you and take your fast, inshallah.
If anybody doesn't have water, just please just ask for it. Water and dates for everybody.
The guys next to you.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا